Richard Childress Racing Sunday at Gateway had a tale of two worlds. While one driver in Kyle Busch went to victory for the third time this season in 2023, his teammate Austin Dillon, on the other hand, ended up in the garage with a torn up race car. Austin Dillon was working his way up towards the front to possibly a top 10 finish near the conclusion of the race when he got tagged by Austin Cindric, sending him into the left side of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and taking them both out of the race, forcing Dillon to settle with a 31st place finish. But after the race, both Austin Dillon and car owner Richard Childress commented on the incident involving Austin Cindric, saying that that incident was more heinous than first perceived.
I was wrecked intentionally by him, hooked right, just like Chase and Denny and Bubba's deal. He better be suspended next week.
He's helped Austin a whole lot. Austin's had some really good runs. He drove up to about 10th till the two car wrecked him in there on purpose. Sort of a payback.
This is coming off the heels of NASCAR handing out more harsher punishment for drivers intentionally wrecking others, specifically right-hooking drivers into the outside wall. Now, if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was not there, Austin Dillon would have gone head-on into the outside wall entering turn 1. But was it really malicious what Cindric was trying to do? Not really. If you look at the videotape here, simply put, Austin Dillon cleared himself. Cindric didn't really come down, or at the very least, it didn't look like, at least from my eyes, that Cindric was trying to wreck Austin Dillon. It was simply, in my view, a racing incident, and you could put more of the blame on Austin Dillon than Austin Cindric. What's interesting about this one is from Richard Childress saying it as a form of payback, alluding to the fact that something happened between Cindric and Dillon earlier in the race or earlier in the season. NASCAR has said that they will review the incident, but more than likely, I don't think you're going to see a suspension coming like Austin Dillon is trying to preach. It's very unfortunate because the type of season Austin Dillon is having is nowhere near in comparison to his teammate Kyle Busch. It is now further exposing the idea that maybe the issue with Richard Childress Racing is not the team, it's more or less the driver. Ever since Austin Dillon came into the scene in 2014, RCR was on the down, and the issue was always perceived ever since Dillon came into the Cup Series that the reason why he wasn't winning was because of the team, not so much the driver. He was able to get 4 wins to his belt, 2 of them being crown jewel races, the Coke 600 and the Daytona 500. He still has never shown any type of championship or even top 10 points like speed in a season. But last year, Tyler Reddick changed all that, scoring 3 races and what could have been a deep playoff run if it weren't for his issues at Kansas. Now 2023, Kyle Busch is further exposing that it could be more or less a driver issue rather than a team issue. This season, 15 races into 2023, Kyle Busch is outpacing Dillon in every way, shape, or form. He has earned more wins, more top 5s, and twice as many top 10s, as well as an astounding 12.8 average finish compared to a 21.9, has led 197 laps compared to Dillon's mere 3. And look at the points position. Kyle Busch currently sitting 7th in the regular season point standings, while Austin Dillon is just hanging on inside the top 30. Chase Elliott, who has missed numerous races, including this weekend at Gateway, is still further in points ahead of Austin Dillon. And finally, an update on Denny Hamlin's contract situation. Now, there have been reports during the offseason this year about the future of Denny Hamlin, FedEx, and Joe Gibbs Racing. We do know that Joe Gibbs already had a big-time, long-time sponsor in M&M's leave at the end of the 22 campaign, and there were reports that things were uncertain of FedEx returning to NASCAR, returning to Joe Gibbs Racing post 2023. According to Adam Stern, it looks like they will sign on for the end of next year. FedEx is close to striking a contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing to continue sponsoring the team into the 24 NASCAR season. The precise scope of the agreement is unclear, but FedEx is expected to retain a sizable presence in the number 11 Toyota. This year has obviously been an odd change of pace. Usually we see the FedEx car on track around 28 to 30 times a year, while so far in 2023 we've only seen them on the car for 7 of the 14 races. 15 races, including at Gateway. Majority of the sponsorship has been probably sports clips and maybe a few other one-off sponsorships. But FedEx has barely been a major part of Hamlin's 2023 campaign, further adding the speculation that maybe they could be on the chopping block. Now, it's also interesting that they only signed on for 1 year extra. Could this maybe be a way as a thank you for Joe Gibbs Racing? Again, there's a lot of ways you could read into that. For a longtime sponsor like FedEx to only just sign on for 1 more year is kind of interesting. I would expect for a sponsor like FedEx kind of like with M&Ms, you would sign on for multiple years for a multi-year agreement, not just one more year. Denny Hamlin has said that he wanted to end his career at Joe Gibbs Racing, but if that's not the case, depending on what happens with FedEx, he would drive for his own team. So Hamlin does have that to fall back on. Whether FedEx will continue sponsoring Joe Gibbs Racing and be in NASCAR post 2024, and more specifically, more importantly, post Denny Hamlin, is remained to be seen.